Okay, so the first thing I do is I don't want to get this messy and I don't want to have to clean it. So first thing I do is I put some foil over it. Not only to protect this, but it also keeps the tiles from slipping off. If you're using tiles or whether you're using towel or canvas. My spinner. It's just your everyday type spinner. I might put one more right across the middle. And you'll want to cover the bottom part too. I've already got it covered because the bottom will get messy as well. And you don't want that. I really just don't want to clean it for one thing, and it's harder to clean all the paint off when you want it to be clean. But the bottom, as you can see, I've got all that cleaned as well. You don't really need that middle part. Paint doesn't usually get up under there, but you can if you feel better about it. My table is not real level, so I use a stir stick to level it out. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix some pigments. The way I mix my pigments is first I went to Walmart and I purchased these cups. It's called portion cups with lids, and these are the 4 ounce, and there's 50 cups in here. I don't remember how much it costs, but it doesn't cost that much, and they're very handy. They come with their own lids, and I've kept mixed pigments in these forever and a day. So I just put these aside. So now, first thing I'm going to do, just make sure you can see, I use Josonja Varnish to disperse my pigments. And I don't really measure. I just put about enough to cover the bottom. See that? It's just enough to cover the bottom. Which is about, I want to say, a tablespoon. It's probably about a tablespoon. I think that might be a little more. Okay. I'm running out. Now I've got some on the way, but for now, I'm gonna have to be careful with it. Okay, so now I'm gonna pick out some pigments, and I think I'm gonna do spring colors. So I'm gonna go with, this is Honeycomb. It's kind of an orange color. I think I'm gonna do that one. I think I'm going to do Twilight. That's a very pretty, I don't know, fuchsia color. I'm going to do 3 pigments and, let's see here. I like the blues. There's Lakeside, which is kind of a blue, but it's also got some green in there. But I think I'm going to do, let's see. Some blue eyes in here. I want to keep everything pastel for spring as much as possible. So this is blue eyes. See how pretty that is? And the video doesn't do it justice. It's beautiful. Okay, now I want a metallic color. So I think I'm gonna do probably silver or gold. I'm probably going to do silver. Let's just go with silver. Okay, I'm going to use this. This is from Hobby Lobby. It's Master's Touch. And I do disperse it in the varnish as well. I do it just like I do the pigments because it just turns out better that way, but the ratio's different. You just got to match the consistency. So I'll do that. And then actually I want to do one more. I want to do green. I want a green pigment, and I'm going to try going with a, let's see. I was going to try emerald, but it's not really, it's too dark. It's not pastel. So we've got lily pad, or we've got this, I can't even pronounce it. I'm going to try this. I don't know what that's called, but I'm going to try it. I haven't ever tried that before. So let's do one more pigment. That will be 5 colors total. Let's put this. Some more Josonja. Okay. So now I got these off of Amazon, and they are just these little, they look like flattened spoons. I know Fluid Art sells some that are black. These are disposable, but I wash them and reuse them time and time again. They come in a package of, I want to say 100 of them, and you don't really need that many, but I use them a lot. So it's nice to have. Now see, I haven't used this before. That's why the paper was still on it, because I have never used it. So we'll see what it turns out to be. So we have honeycomb, and that might be too much pigments. I want it really pigmented, and I want it to really pop. So I'm going to use that much. And so all I do is I just make sure it all gets wet before I vigorously stir. It's a powder. So I just make sure that everything gets wet. And then when you're sure that there's no powder going to puff up at you, just start vigorously stirring. And just make sure there's no clumps. There might be bubbles, but make sure there's no clumps left in it. Make sure you get all along the sides and down on the bottom. Just make sure you stir it really well. Okay. Now for the silver, I'm only going to put about maybe a teaspoon, or about that much. Okay. And stir it just like I do my pigments. Very good stir. Okay. Now then. Alright, I'm going to set these colors aside. I'm going to do one at a time, because what we're going to do now is add the base. Okay, so for the base, I use Behr 8300 Deep Base. Now, what this is it's the paint that is, it's not tinted. This is what you get before it gets tinted. When you go to this hardware store and you buy paint, this is what the guy will pick out to add tinting to it. But you don't want him to add tinting to it, because we're going to tint it ourselves with the pigments. So now in Arizona, it's called 2-8300, because apparently 8300 has some chemicals or binders or something in it that is not allowed in Arizona. So it looks a little more muted than the regular 8300, but I guarantee you when it dries, it doesn't look that way. It dries pretty clear, and you can't really tell that much of a difference. But this is what I use all the time. So now I'm going to start with the silver. Let me open it. You can also use the Behr 3300, which has a little bit more white in it. So it does mute the colors a little bit more, but not a whole lot more. So I have been known to use that as well. I buy the big bottles because it's more economical to get the big cans. It's more economical. But if you prefer not to, you can get, they come in a smaller can. But it just, to me, you're spending more because you're buying less. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my trusty tablespoon, and I'm gonna put about 4 tablespoons of this in here. Actually, in the 2 paints, I use about 3. I put a couple in there, and then what I'll do is I'll stir it up and check the consistency and see if I need more. If I need to thin it some, I will put more varnish. If I need to thicken it, I'll put more base. Because the 2 paints are actually very thick. So actually that is a good consistency right there. Let me stir it some more. You want to stir it really good, and even stir throughout the time that you're doing this. It's too thick. I think that is a perfect consistency right there. You see it stays, when you make a circle, it stays on top. It doesn't sink as quickly. And I want to make sure that my pigments are that way too. So I'm gonna put in a couple of them. I'm gonna stir. As you can see, I'm doing it with my tablespoon, okay? And it's probably a little more than 2 tablespoons because it's probably 3 because I'm actually glopping it in there, which means that, you know, you've got a little more in there than just the couple of tablespoons. It's not exact. And then you stir. And it will look like the paints have lightened, but trust me, they haven't. It's just because, if you can see, it's white. But when it dries, it's kind of like yogurt. It dries clear. It dries pretty clear. So you can actually, the pigments come through pretty clear when it dries. Okay, let me fix the camera. There we go. Now, let's check the consistency. Well, let's check it with the silver. We want the consistency to be the same, so let's check it. That's about the same. So I'm just going to leave it there. Let's go with the next color. There we go. Now, I'm going to set aside my colors. I'm going to put them up here on this rack in the order that I think I want. I'm going to go light to dark, okay? So I'm going to do I think what I'm doing, if you look over here, I'm going to do silver, honeycomb, that green that I can't pronounce, the blue eyes, and the twilight in that order. Okay, so now let's get started. I'm going to start off by doing some ceramic tiles. Let me get rid of this paint can. I like to have paper towels around to wipe my hands. As you can see, my workspace here is kind of messy, but that can't be helped. It's going to get messy, and you're going to clean it, and it's going to get messy again. And if you want to see my workspace, you'll have to look at another video. I will put the link to the video in my comments. And the materials that I use will be in the comments, and the consistencies that I use will be in the comments. So I have one left, one little spoon left, and that's going to go for my cell activator. Cell activator is going to be, I think, since we're doing spring colors, I thought about doing white, but I have black already mixed up. And the cell activator is going to be 1 part paint to about 3 parts Australian Floetrol. And I use Amsterdam paint. There's other ones that you can use. I'm just going to give this a little stir because it's been sitting for a while. I want to make sure it's good and stirred up. Now, the consistency of your cell activator needs to be, the consistency of your cell activator needs to be thinner than your paints. If you can see this, it's very thin. Not too thin. There's still some, a little bit of consistency to it, but it is a lot thinner than the paints. Your pillow paint needs to be thicker than your paints. So it goes, the thickest is your pillow paint, then your paints are the next consistency, and then thinnest is your cell activator. So now I'm going to get the pillow paint, which is, I like to use Glidden Premium Eggshell. It's the pure white base 1, okay? Now, the reason I like this is because it seems to be the most perfect consistency for the pillow. And I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. What I do is I get a cup, because I don't want to always have to use this big can. Open the can. There we go. Okay, so I don't want to make a mess. So I'm going to move this out of the way in case I do, and I'm just going to pour it into my cup. And I'm not afraid of getting my hands messy. So I will take my finger. I should be wearing gloves. I'm not. I prefer not to, but I should be. I will just clean that up. I don't like to have messy pens sitting around. Is make sure my camera's pointing in the right direction. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little dab of paint, pillow paint. I'm going to smear it on top of my foil on my spinner. This helps keep the tile from sliding off. Okay, it just helps keep the tile on it. Now, what I normally do, let me get my hands cleaned up. These are ceramic tiles that I buy at Home Depot. They're about $16 for a case of 100, and they are 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Normally, I will take this out to my belt sander, and I will sand these little bumps off. These are for tiling purposes, so that you have a space in between your tile. These are spacers, but I will sand them off. For the sake of time, I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to wait until it dries, then I'm going to sand the sides off, and I can always paint the sides with a border type paint. But for the sake of time for now, let's just put this on here. And I try to center it as best as I can. So as you can see, it stays on pretty good. So first things first, I'm gonna go with the white pillow paint right in the center. You can see that that consistency is a lot thicker than your paints. Actually, it looks a little thinner to me. I don't know why, but yeah, I know it's gonna work. It's the consistency that it needs to be. As far as the blooms that I do, I know that it needs to be able to spread. You can make it thicker by adding a gel medium to it, but I'm going to just try it without it and see. Now I like to spin it to spread it out first. You know, spread out the edges. Just gets the paint on there quicker. And then I'll put just a little dollop of it in the middle. It is thicker than my paints. It's just a tiny bit thicker than my paints. I just put a dollop in the middle so it does have a pillow whenever I blow down into it. Okay, so now I'm going to go. Now, whatever colors you put on first, you're going to, it's going to pop up on the top. Sometimes they get lost if you put them on top because you're going to, I'll show you why. You're going to be blowing down into it. So I'm just going to put a little bit, and I don't like to layer them on top of each other because it makes it too thick. In my opinion, it makes it too thick, and when you go to blow it, it doesn't blow as easily. You have lumps that you have to blow out. Just going to do it this way. Now I recommend you don't layer colors together that is going to make a muddy color. And we'll see what this does. If you don't like it, you can switch up the order. I like to change up the order just to see what I'm going to get. I do want a lot of pink in there, so I'm going to put a lot of pink on. I'm going to try this black and we're going to see how it turns out. Okay, let's try this again, but I'm going to mix up some white cell activator. To do that, because we don't really need a whole cup full, I also buy these white cups. They're not white, they're kind of clear. Get those from Walmart as well. These are 5-ounce cups. You get at Walmart. And I'm always trying to find a bargain. I'm going to wash this towel in the water. And I'm going to allow it to dry up here a little bit before I use it. So now I'm going to get my about, I want to say a tablespoon or so. I'm almost out of this, so I may have to go with the tube. I usually buy these big bottles because it's a lot more economical to buy a big bottle than it is a smaller one. Let me get my, I have a teaspoon over here. I think I'm going to mix up a teaspoon, 1 teaspoon to about 3 teaspoons of Australian Floetrol. This is 1 teaspoon. Again, I don't usually measure it. I'm just doing it for your sake. Actually, I'm going to do 2 teaspoons. It's a little more than a teaspoon there, but it's close enough. You always want to shake up your Australian Floetrol a little bit because it does settle somewhat. Just shake it up a tiny little bit. Now, 1, 2, 3. What I do is I will stir it. You get another stir stick. I stir it. And then I decide on consistency. Now this, you have to stir it really, really good. And it doesn't break up as easily, so I have a little trick. At Hobby Lobby, during the spring, you know, when they put their spring stuff out, I went and bought this cute little whisk. Tiny little whisk. And it stirs, it breaks all that up really good. And I use that. And I love using it. This doesn't seem like a lot of Floetrol, a lot of cell activator, but it goes a long way. Okay, let me wash this off. Let's do some more. I'm gonna start with this. Check the consistency. I think it's a little too runny, honestly. I want to add more paint. But even so, I know it would probably still work. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more white. You hear, there's my bird in the background calling for mama. He's a cockatoo. I'm not going to put a lot more. I'm just going to put a little more. Just got to get it all broken up and stirred in really good. If you don't, it just doesn't work that good. You'll have clumps. It's a lot thicker. I still say it was 2 teaspoons because some of the paint clings to the spoon, so you can't really tell if it's an accurate measurement, but it's about 2 teaspoons. You're going to measure, mostly you're going to measure by consistency. You're going to add, you're going to keep adding until you get it exactly right. Why you start out with a little bit. Now, if you look, I don't know if you can see that. Let's see here. Consistency is about right. It's really runny, but it's not too runny that it sinks when you can see kind of a pile of paint. Okay, let me put the white up. Now let's see if this looks better. This way. This one off. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Let's try this one more time. Again. Okay. I just didn't like that black. Let's put a little bit on. Spin it out a little bit. You want to make sure that everything is covered. Okay, and then put a little dab in the center. Oh, come in. A little dab in the center. So you have a pillow. Okay. The silver on first. Now, I'm not putting a lot of this. I just want a little bit of metallic shimmer. Okay? I don't want a lot of silver. That's just me. You might want the silver. Now we're going to go with the honeycomb. I like to give it a little stir before I start. Oop, gloop. That's okay. And this green. I don't want a lot of that, but I want some. Blue eyes. I love this blue eyes. And this Twilight is so pretty, such a pretty pink. I just love it. Now it looks like it's flowing this way, so I'm going to tip it just a little bit, get it back in the middle. Okay, now here we go. We're going to put the cell activator in the middle. Just a tiny bit more. Okay, now here we go. I'm going to blow down and around and then out. I like to blow center so it gets that paint down in the middle. Okay, now I'm going to make some petals. You don't have to do this step. If you want to just spin it out without the petals, that's quite all right. It's up to you. You're the artist. I like the petals. I don't like the swirlies in the middle. Okay. Oh, that looks so much better. Okay, let me scrape off some of this excess. We're going to spin it one more time because I want to get it. I don't want to have cracks. Get as much paint as you can off without destroying the beauty of the piece. Now, as it sits, some of those thick lines are going to disappear. But look at that in the light. It shimmers. It's going to shimmer in the light. If you don't like where it's at, you can move it down, but that's not going anywhere. It's not going to run down. It's spun out about as much as it's going. It's not moving. Now, if you want more cells, you have to redo it until you get the cells that you want. I like it. As it sits and it dries, some of the thick lines will go away. They might not. I particularly like this, just as it is. So I'm going to take this up. You might not like it. You might want it something different. And I'm going to put it over here on my rack. And I'm going to scrape off this excess. Let's do this one. This one's been sitting over there getting little drips. Okay, let's do a little bit. But you can still just, as long as you spread it out, then you can add a little bit to the middle. I'm going to spread out just a little more and see how that does. See if spreading it out might help not show up so much of the pillow. You got to be careful when you're blowing. Now let's do a different order. Let's try the going backwards and see what happens to the colors. I just want to see if it makes a difference. I bet it does. I bet I already know it does. You got to play around with it, and you got to decide what order of the colors that you want. Okay. Let's get back to the middle. Okay, here we go. To wait Let all the cells pop up. Then, now you can see by doing this, I reverse the color. You don't see as much pink. Seems like more of the green and the blue popped up. The pink is in the middle under that cell activator. I'm gonna get my straw and blow out some of this thick stuff. You don't wanna blow hard. Just enough. Maybe the cells will pop up. Maybe not. All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and do this, the petals. I like to wipe off in between. I wanna make it muddy, messy. I think I like it like that. Well, let me do one more. Now we're going to spin. You see how the colors changed from the one that we had before? Before we put the silver, the honeycomb, that green, blue eyes, and then the twilight. And this time we went backwards. Do you see what a difference that is? That's a huge difference. There's more green in this one. I like it though, but I am going to put that aside. Now let's switch up the order again and see what else we can get. I'm gonna put, let me scrape this. You can see when you scrape it, it's just a mess in there. But you don't want to stir that. There's lots you can do with it. So let's try one more, or a couple more. I'm going to switch up the order. I'm going to put the pink in the middle again. Wait, let's put the white on, the pillow. Let's spin it out. Ooh, didn't get it in the middle. Okay. Add a little to the center, just a little bit. I'm going to spin it out again because I think that did better. Okay, now I'm going to go pink, green. I'm going to skip the blue, skip the honeycomb, the orange, go silver. Now I'm going to go back and do blue and the orange. There, let's see what happens. Okay, now we're going to put our cell activator. Just one more. I didn't blow down in the middle this time. I'm going to take my straw. Let's see what happens. Okay. Let's make some petals. Let's split this up into 2 petals. Okay, let's see what happens. Wow, I like that. I really like the way the colors came out. You can see a lot more of the blue. It seems to be an equal amount of color. I don't see the silver in there, but it's possible when it dries it will pop up. But I really like this. I think I'm gonna stick with this order. Oh, no, I'm not. It's no fun doing that. I'm gonna try switching it up again. Okay, let me scrape this. Okay, now one more. This is the last one. Okay, put our pillow on. Make sure it's about in the middle. Okay, let's spread it out. More in the middle. I like to spin it just one more time. Okay. There we go. Now, what am I going to do this time? I think I'm still going to stick with the pink first. Skip the blue. Skip the orange. This time, instead of going to blue, I'm going to go to orange and then blue. Let's see what happens. I'm interested to know where that blue goes. Because it's on top. I want to know what's going to happen to it. Okay. The reason I'm not going to keep trying to blow in with a straw in that big clump of white is because I know that as it dries, it pulls away and it becomes thinner. It doesn't stay a big clump of white. I've seen it. If it does, it's fine, but usually it doesn't. I'm going to make my leaves or my petals. Sometimes when you make your petals, you'll want to go through some of the veins, but sometimes you'll want to go through one of the cells because it might make a heart. Let me see if I can find, let me go through this vein, and then over here, let's see, I don't really see a good one to make a heart. If you see a good round one, like this, you can make a heart. See that? This. Okay, here we go. We're going to spin it. Start out slow. Okay, I'm going to take some of this excess off. And notice the corners didn't get covered. So that's an indication you'll want to spin it again. You can take some of this from the edges and cover those. Or just spin it again. A little faster this time. Okay, I think that's beautiful. A lot of the pink popped up. The blue, I think, went out to the sides, but it's got a lot of blue and the green in the background, and the orange is in here. So I think that makes a beautiful flower, and that is it. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will include in the video tomorrow what it looks like once it dries. It usually takes a whole day. All right, thanks for watching. Okay, here's the dried versions. I think they're beautiful. I know when you get them resined, they end up being even more beautiful, and the shimmer really pops out, and you can see the colors really well, and in the sunlight you'll see a lot of the glitter that you can't really see in this light. This light doesn't do it justice. But I'm not one of those that have to have cells pop out every inch of it. I like the amount of cells that it has. Everybody's different. If you don't like yours, keep practicing until you get the cells that you want. Just remember, you've got to spin it enough that you don't get cracks. So, and a lot of times it will crack along the lines that you add the little squigglies. But I think this is just fine. The amount of cells is just fine for what I'm using it for, and I'm happy with the results. These will get resined in about a month, 3 weeks to 4 weeks. I think these turned out great. After I cut off, I did do some trivets to match. These didn't really turn out the way I wanted. If your cell activator or your consistencies are off a little bit, then your cells won't hold up. They kind of fall apart, which is what I think this did. So I may have had my consistencies off. This one I like a lot better. There's a lot of cells in that. The colors kind of blended a little more, but I just really like it. So I think I'll leave that one. I think I probably will redo the other trivet. I did some more coasters. They stick to this rack after a while. And these are okay. I mean, they're not the greatest. I think I had my cell activator a little too thin. If your cell activator is too thin, or if there's anything consistency wise that's not right, then your cells will not hold up. They'll fall apart. And I think that's what happened here. Yeah, it's stuck. A lot of pink in that one. And then I decided to try out doing just silver and blue, and I like the way that turned out. That's really pretty. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching.